Harihi Om. Sadashivasamarambham Shankaracharya Madhyamam Asmadacharya Paryantam Vande Guru Parampara Mookam Karoti Vaachaalam Pangum Langayate Girim Yat Kripatamaham Vande Paramananda Madhavam. Om. So, Namaskar to everyone. We are in the Bhagwad Gita. Dhyana Shloka 6 was completed in our previous class. Today, we are going to be starting with the Dhyana Shloka number 7. The shloka goes like this. Parasharyavachas sarojamamalam Geetarthagandokatam Nanakhyanakakesharam Harikatha Sambodhana Bodhitam Loke Sajjana Shatpadairahara Pepiyamanam Muda Bhuyad Bharata Pankajam Kalimala Pradvamshina Shreyase. So, in this shloka, we are going to be looking at the lineage of Vedavyasa, and we are going to do our salutations once again. The words go like this. Parasharya Vachaha. The Vatsa is the root for this. Basically, it means son of sage Parashar. Okay, anyway, he is the son of Parashar. So, in this place, Parasharya Vachaha means son of Parashar. Saroja Mamalam. Amalam means one who is very pure. Malam is something that we are very used to, which is indicative of the impurities, right? Amalam is the opposite of it, one who is absolutely pure or one who has no deficiencies. That is what is Amalam. So Sarojam basically represents the lotus, and we know that in lotus we always see knowledge as a representation of lotus. So Saroja Mamalam means like a pure lotus, which symbolizes many things. One, that even if in case within the samsara sagara, within the dirt or the impurities filled in the samsara, in this society, the person who remains totally pure, just like how a lotus remains pure, though it is in the midst of mud and water. None of the water or the mud can ever get into the lotus. It will not even touch it. It will just slip and go away. Right. So that way, though you are in the midst of the society, you still remain eternally pure. That is the symbolism associated with Amalam and Sarojam. Geetartha. Artham is the meaning. It's a very common word used even now. Gita Artham, the essence of Gita, has been given to us by Sri Vedavyasa. That is the context here. What is this Gita Artha, or what is this essence that is being spread by Gita, Bhagavad Gita? It is a smell. It is a kind of thing which satisfies your senses. That is the reason why the word Gandham is used. Gandham means smell, and Utkatam means supreme, of very high quality or very high, attraction. That is what is the basic essence of Gandha Utkatam. So here Bhagavad Gita is being, said to be, now we can add the Saroja Mamalam to the Bhagavad Gita as an adjective. We can add it as an adjective to Parasharya Vachaha, which is Veda Vyasa, or you can associate it to Gitartha Gandha Utkatam. So Gitartham becomes the lotus in that, in which it is one which spreads knowledge. And what kind of knowledge? In the form of something that totally satisfies your senses. Utkatam means of utmost superior quality. And seeing this particular smell, what happens? Nana Akhyanaka. Now here, before we get into that, Nana Akhyanaka refers to the stories that you come across in Mahabharata. Bhagavad Gita does not have any stories. Bhagavad Gita is purely an upadesha, a teaching, an advice, a guidance provided by Lord Krishna to Arjuna. It is purely a samvada that happens between Arjuna and Krishna. And there are instances where Sanjaya speaks as well. It starts with Dhritarashtra's speaking, that is the first shloka. And after that, it is purely a conversation between Lord Krishna and Arjuna. When we say Nana Akhyanaka with several branch stories, here we are talking beyond the Gita, beyond the Bhagavad Gita. We are talking of the entire Mahabharata. So in Mahabharata, there are so many branch stories. In fact, if you go into Vanaparva, you will see Markandeya talking to Yudhishthira. Those kind of things will also come in Mahabharata. Each of them are great essences of Vedanta, of Bhakti, of Anushasan, which is governance, which is about the self-discipline, upasanas. You talk of it. Everything is contained within the Mahabharata. And many of them are provided to us as small stories that they get to listen the value from. So here, Nana Akhyanaka references the base being Mahabharata, and in that base, the lotus-like Bhagavad Gita is coming and spreading its flowers. Now, the Kesaram is like the, we call it as Magarantham, filaments. So inside the flower where the bees come and suck the honey, that is the Kesaram. Harikatha. These Katha as well as Bhagavad Gita are like the Kesar. That is the emphasis that is given here. Sambodhana aboditam. Right? Sambodhana is something that you can perceive or observe or grasp the essence. Right? So here, once again, the emphasis is for the entire Mahabharata. Right? Through the stories as well as through the direct upadesh that you get in Bhagavad Gita, you get some kind of a preaching in this entire text, which is of supreme nature. Given that here we are talking in terms of a flower, the expression that goes further is Loke Sajjana Shatpadaira Aharaha. Now, what it means is people, Loke Sajjana, that Sajjan is the most important thing. All of you are Sajjans. Sajjans are those who are with the Sattvic Bhava, those who consider themselves subservient to the God, those who are keeping their ability to learn, or those who keep themselves alert to learn. When we talk of gun, we talk about three kinds of gun: Sattvic, Rajasic, and Tamasic. When we go into the chapter 14, we will be doing a lot of deep dive into what those guns are, how they behave, how they manifest within you. When you look at even the Varnashrama Dharma, you will be impressed to see that it is the gun based and the karma based. Right? Chaturvarnyam maya srishtam guna karma vibhakashah is the way Bhagwan speaks there. So here, what we are talking about is those who are sattvic bhava. There is a very famous shloka in chapter 2 where Bhagavan will say that Traigunya Vishaya Vedaha Nistraigunyo Bhavarjuna Nirdvantvo Nitya Sattvastaha Niryogakshema Matmavan. This is a step-by-step means to attain moksha, become an Atmavan, develop becoming a, what do you say, not Yogakshemaha, then become Nitya Sattvastaha. That Sattvic Gun is what we are talking about here in terms of Loke Sajjana. Those who are respected and glorified people is another way of looking at it. Good spirited people is another way of looking at it. They are compared to that of the bees, the honey sucking bees from the flowers. Now, Shatpadaira, Pad, we know it is the feet. Shat represents 6. That being which with 6 feet is the meaning of Shatpadaihi. And that refers to the bees. Aharaha. Ahaha, ahaha becomes aharaha. Aha is the ahoratre, parshve is the way that we go. Ratri and day, the night and the day. In that, the ahaha represents the day. Now, it doesn't mean that which is only the day-night kind of a day. In one of the contexts where we have seen it in Vishnu Sahasranama, the Nama Ahaha is used to represent the entire day as well, the complete time cycle as well, right? Because in Sanskrit, we go with the property, not as an assignment of something to something. A name being assigned to something is this, right? For example, what is in front of me is a mouse, right? Mouse is named as a mouse because it has the shape of a mouse. As simple as that. Now, there is, in English, though, there are several terms which need not be associated directly with that form. Let us take the example of paper, right? Now, I will not be able to associate a property to a paper, or at least I don't know how to, right? That paper, if in case you look at Sanskrit, it will go with the property. And if there are two things which have the same kind of property, like a leaf in which I can write, or the paper that I can write into, right, the one that we use regularly, both will be called with the same name based on that property. Right, so that is the way Sanskrit works. Now, because ahaha represents a day, right, that which can be measured in terms of time, the entire scope of time can also be addressed with the word called as ahaha. Or it can include something which has got the boundaries of a day and a night put together, or that which can be defined as the one at from sunrise to sunset, and from sunset to sunrise, it will be called as Ratri. So we can go into the intricacies. We'll be looking at a lot of it from a Sanskrit point of view. That is to enable us to learn more so that we can ask more questions and evolve with the Gita. But getting back to it, ahaha, ahaha means daily. No, it doesn't mean we have to listen to it daily or anything of that sort. It also has the meaning regularly. right? And it also has the meaning at all times. Now you can take and stretch it to any extent that you want. It is more inspirational than a directive. That is what the core is. Now, Pepiyamanam Muda. Pepiyamanam is for the purpose of drinking. What are they going to drink? We saw that earlier, right? Which is from the flower, the honey that you get out of it. The honey is the nectar. That in order to drink, people come together on a regular basis and listen to this katha. I was just talking to Pramila Bhabi before this call started, where she was telling, like yesterday, she had some video that she was seeing where the Bhagwad Gita was, I believe, chanted by a father and a 7 or 8 year old child. Now you think of it, the person didn't even think that there will be somebody who's sitting in the US and watching it later, but she is naturally getting attracted towards it. So that is the essence to say that, hey, people generally tend to get attracted whenever we experience Bhagavad Gita. That is the context that is established in this place. Bhuyad. The literal meaning is to become, right? The contextual thing is in order to derive the delight of, right? So once you derive the pleasure of the nectar, what you get is moksha, right? So you become a person who is in the path of a moksha as a mumukshu, or a jnani who has attained this liberation. So in that sense, the bhuyad represents to something to become. Now, pankajam kalimala. Pankajam Kalimala, we had seen Sarojam earlier as an attribution to Vedavyasa or to Bhagavad Gita. Right? Here again, this Pankajam is interpreted in two ways. One is we as the listeners, or we as people who are going through the exercise of Shravanam, Mananam, and Nitidhyasanam. For us, it is being said that as we move into that path of Mumukshu and Jnani, we are like the Pankajam, right? And because it comes from Kalimala, which is the next term, which is the impurities associated with Kalikala, this can also be attributed back to Bhagavad Gita, wherein we say the lotus which is there to pradvamshi kalimalaha, to destroy the impurities of Kalikal. So from that sense, the Pankajam can be understood as a reference that is being made to Bhagavad Gita. Why is it being done? Nah, us shreyase, for the welfare of us. The shreyas is again a very beautiful word actually. In fact, in Kathopanishad, there will be a place where when Yamadharma Raja begins the preaching of Atma Gyan to Nachiketa, he starts with saying that there is two paths that everyone encounters at all times. One is called Preyas and another is called Shreyas. And he says they are distinctly separate. The Preyas is the path in which we derive pleasure. Shreyas is the path in which we strive for welfare. In one of the examples, when we were in some discussions, the question was, I like Bhagavad Gita, and coming to the session of Bhagavad Gita is a pleasure as well to me, and it is also bringing me goodness. So, how can Yamadharma Raja say that there are two paths? Why are they distinctly separate? Why can't something which is a Shreyas be a preyas as well for me? And the answer given was very beautiful. It said that prayers puts you in the path of an experiencer, a bhokta. A Shreyas, on the other hand, keeps you in the path of karma yogi. Right? As karma yogi, when I continue the path, that is what is Shreyas. That is what is bringing welfare. In that karma or through that karma, by that karma, I ensure that because I am always in the path of dharma, I bring welfare not only to myself, but also to the entire loka. That is what is the greatness of dharma. On the other part, adharma is that which brings the satisfaction, which brings the goodness only for myself, which would mean it will also not bring, very likely, not goodness for others, or compromising something, I will achieve something. That is the path that it will go. And you can always argue saying that, no, I'm not compromising. This is something that is being done for the welfare, right? But we have not taken a bigger look at things. We have not taken a look at the stula amsham and sukshma amsham and karana amsham. As per the Vedic guidance, it says that every karma has an effect in all the three aspects of manifestation called as Karana Sharira, Sukshma Sharira, and Stula Sharira. Now, when we are in the path of Dharma, the Shreyas that happens is across all the Sharir, is across all the Loka, and is across all the, what do you say, Kshetra, eventually leading to the Prakriti. Right. So even from the Atman point of view, it brings welfare, and hence it is called as Shreyas. So Naha Shreyase is a very important word wherein we need to keep in mind that the path of prayas, which is that which brings preeti to you, that which brings pleasure to you, that which brings satisfaction to you, is different from the path which brings welfare, which brings dharma, or which establishes dharma. And that Naha Shreyase establishes or puts the condition of that dharma into the sphere of our current topic. So this is a very beautiful shloka, and we will go into the next shloka. Shloka number 8. मूकं करोति वाचालं पङ्गुं लङ्घयते गिरिं यत्कृपातमहं वन्दे परमानन्दमाधवम्. So here, this is a very important shloka, which is again going to guide us in realizing or in putting ourselves in that particular path. When we were in Vishnu Sahasranama, we spoke about, in one of the Palashruti, we had spoken about the Shraddha, right? So the way that it happens is Arjuna makes an appeal or tells Bhagavan that, hey Bhagavan, for all these people who are devoted to you and chanting Vishnu Sahasranama, quote unquote, be a protector. Tratha Bhavajanardhana is the way that he speaks. To that, Bhagavan says, Yomam nama sahasrena stotumichati pandava soham ekena shlokena stutayevana samshayah na samshayah, without having any kind of doubt. That is the value which this shloka brings to this particular Dhyana Shloka given by Sri Madhusudana Saraswati. Literally, it's a very simple one. Mookam Karoti Vaachaalam. Mookam is a person who is mute, a person who doesn't have the ability to speak. Karoti Vaachaalam. Karoti starts doing Vaachaalam, speaking at great length. Pangum, the person who is disabled. Particularly here, it is referencing to a person who doesn't have a functional leg. Langayate Girim. He can even cross over the mountains. Langayate. We know in Sri Lanka, the name is because Hanuman Langayate. He crossed over. Right? So, Langayate Girim. He can cross over the mountains. By what? Yat Kripa, by the grace or the blessings or by the Karuna expressed by Tam. Tam herein means definitely Vasudeva, Lord Krishna, or Lord Vishnu, Lord Narayana, or we talk of the divinity, the Parabrahma, wherever, whatever the form that you want, you can think of. That Tam, Aham Vande, I prostrate to. Paramananda Madhavam. Paramanandam is a very common word, one who brings supreme happiness. Madhavam. Madhavam refers to Lord Krishna. The reason why he is called as Madhavam is because he comes in the lineage where the Madhu as a, a demon was killed. Right? Because he killed the demon by name Madhu, he is called as Madhava. But in tradition, or we have seen it in Vishnu Sahasranama earlier, we had identified Madhu Vidya. I will not go into depth about Madhu Vidya at present. We will still have a lot of places to go into it. So I will leave it at Madhu Vidya as the exercises which relates to our Mananam, Dhyanam, etc., which helps us to attain God. So one who can be attained through Madhu Vidya is Bhagwan, and we are prostrating to him. If he shows the grace, a person who is mute can speak, a person who doesn't have limbs can walk or can cross the mountains over. That is the basic meaning of the shloka. We are not here to learn the meaning. We are here to feel the essence and travel with that essence in our heart. So what is the essence? The essence is, in fact, I will go back to the Satyanarayana Vrat Puja that we do. If you literally, go into the story, etc., there have been people who have asked me as to what kind of a story is this? Isn't it just promoting greed into us? Right? So that is the way the question was asked. And my response was, unfortunately, there are places where it is presented that way. The literal meaning of the stories that you have seen could be construed in that manner. The question is not how that story is expressed. The importance of expressing the stories in that way is to develop the ability for us to see the divinity as well as appreciate the grace of the divine without losing the Shraddha in us, and at the same time not even questioning or debating or jumping into analysis of the possibilities of the story about the scientific limitations and the other aspects of it. As soon as you go into that path, you are in the path of the prayers, which means you will not be able to understand the concept being told. Right. So, man, if as a small child, somebody, the children, at very young age, he is telling like, if in case I hit the ball, it will go on to the beach and all those stuff. Right. The thing is, he is enjoying that sense of power. That is the message there, not the capability of the ball reaching the waters of the beach. Right. So that is not the context at all. And you do not follow that context as well. And it also doesn't mean it cannot reach. It also doesn't mean a person who is mute cannot speak. For me, it is not material at all. For me, the only thing that is visible is the greatness of the divinity to which I have surrendered. Right? So that is the core that we need to develop in us through this shloka or other kinds of stories or shlokas or Geetam or Bhashyam or uh, the upanyasa that we go to, all those things are basically to bring the value to the forefront, not the arthavakya. We call them as arthavakya. Anything that is said is an arthavakya. And Bhagavan will say that for a person who has understood the essence of Veda, Veda is of no significance. It has no value. It has no value is not what Bhagavan says. He says the value is insignificant, is the way that he will put it. As to how much a well will serve a person who is surrounded with one of the best waters in the world, is the way that he expresses that. We will get to it in chapter 2. But the intent again is we are not here to look into the expressions. Rather, we are here to do the deep dive. This shloka should ignite that aspect in you in which you're not the faith. Faith is a very poor word of representing Shraddha. Shraddha is a committed belief in the lordship of the Supreme, is the way that I can put it. These are all words just coming out. If you ask me to repeat it, I'll not be able to. But the way that you should see it is, it should develop something in me where I will never doubt what Bhagavan has said, what he has expressed. Right? So, keeping that in mind, exercise yourself with that Shraddha, but at the same time, don't get into any blind belief. Right? Because it is said, Mookam Karoti Vaachaalam. Right? I will take a mute to the Bhagwan and I will ask the Namaskar be done 1,000 times so that he will start speaking. It may happen, it may not happen. That is not what the Shraddha is. The Shraddha is, if you feel you want to do it, you do it with absolute sincerity, not expecting anything in return. The moment you do that namaskar with the expectation that this happens, then you have lost the value. You have fallen into the side of the prayas and not the shreyas. That is the thing that you need to keep in your mind and follow the greatness that we emphasize here about Bhagavan in this shloka. Moving on, in the 9th shloka, Bhagavan says, sorry, in the Madhusudana Saraswati expresses this as Yam Brahma Varunendra Rudra Marutah स्तुन्वन्ति दिव्यैस्तवैः वेदैः साङ्गपदक्रमोपनिषदैः गायन्ति यं सामगाः ध्यानावस्थिततद्गतेन मनसा पश्यन्ति यं योगिनो यस्यान्तं न विदुः सुरासुरगणाः देवाय तस्मै नमः. So here we are going to do our namaskar to the Bhagavan again. Yam Brahma Varuna Indra Rudra Marutaha. Now, Yam, of whom, is the basic meaning. Here we can talk about the divine supreme Ishvara. We can talk about Lord Vishnu. We can talk about Lord Shiva. It is immaterial. What we need to understand is this Yam represents one supreme. When you see it in a Saguna form, you can attribute any name to it. When you are seeing it in the Nirguna form, which is a Sad Chit Ananta Rupam, Satchidananda Rupam, right? That is the Parabrahma. Sat Chit Anantam Parabrahma is the limitation that I have in not being able to use any other word. Because the moment I use a word, it loses. It comes back into the Saguna form. Right? So Yam represents that supreme divinity, which you call as I. Right? For everything else, your thought, your feelings, everything is associated to my. It is associated to the I and not the I in itself. I remains independent of anything that is with the my. My pen makes I am not the pen. My thought makes I am not the thought. My feelings make I am not the feeling. Right? That is the core that we talk about as Atma, Paramatma, or the Supreme. There is no word to express it, but I have a pointer, which is you yourself. You know you exist. I don't have to prove it to you, but your existence, you cannot prove it by yourself. Everything, anything you associate, it can be removed and the I still exists. That is the core. Right? So here the Yam represents that supreme. That Yam is worshipped, is sung and praised by whom all? By Brahma. Herein we talk about the Chaturmukha Brahma, the one with the four faces, who emerged from the Nabhi of Lord Vishnu, the creator in the Trinity. Varuna. Now, Varuna Devata is the god of rains, right? And there is a big mantra that goes, which emphasizes on the importance of water. Right? Yopam pushpam veda, pushpavan prajavan pasuman bhavati. Everything has got the base of water, is that particular mantra, pushpa mantra that we sing. And hence, Varuna has been given an emphasis. Indra is, once again, can be seen as two. One, who is the king of the Devaloka, the king of Varuna Bhagavan, Vayu Bhagavan, Agni Bhagavan. They are all the divinities in the Swarga Loka. In the seven upper lokas, we have Bhuhu, Bhuvaha, Suvaha. Right? That Swarga Loka's king, the Adipati there, is Indra. Even that Indra pays or prostrates, does namaskar to this supreme called as Brahma or Parabrahma. Then Rudraha. We can talk about Rudra. We have spoken about it in the earlier classes, but we have 11 Rudras. Among the Rudras, I am the Shankaraha, is the way Bhagavan speaks about in the Vibhuti Yoga. We will touch upon Rudra when we are in the 10th chapter, Vibhuti Yoga. Then Marutaha. Marutaha is again a very beautiful concept. For now, I'm going to simply put it as the divinity associated with storm. Right? There are different maruts and there are various values associated with the marut, and we will talk about them when we get into respective areas in Bhagavad Gita. Stunvanti divyaihi sthavaihi. They sing praise of, or the divine praises, songs, they chant, they sing. Not only that, Vedaihi Sanga Pada Krama Upanishadaihi. Right? So, Sanga is Sa Anga. Right? Veda has 6 Angas. Right? Called as Shiksha, Chandas, Vyakarana, Nirukta, Kalpa, and Jyotisha. Everything has an in-depth association to what we are, right? There is a lot of knowledge around this as well. Now, not only do they sing the divine stuti of Bhagwan, of this particular divinity, but it is also emphasized through the expressions in Veda. The essence of Veda, which we call as Upanishad, is nothing but the detail, the definition of this I. The most difficult one to express, but Veda has done an amazing part of expressing it, which can be even logically represented through Nyaya, or it can be done through the belief system as well. Vedanga, I told, that which expresses or that which enables you to understand the concept of Veda. And this Veda is, we know, has come from our hearing. It is not written. Right? The compilation was later done by Veda Vyasa when he saw that Veda was getting destroyed because of the way we are evolving into. This Veda was preserved through a mechanism of chanting called as Padam, Kramam. Then we use Jatam, and we also use something called as Jatam and Ganapatam. Yeah. So this is also there, the way that we even practice in the Vishnu Sahasranama puja that we do is we always end the Vishnu Sahasranama with the Gayatri mantra being told in all these forms. Right? It is a very beautiful way of doing it. One is in a simple mantra form called as Samhita. Right? Tatsaviturvarenyam Bhargo Devasya Dhimahi Dhiyo Yo Nah Prachodayat. This is called as Samhita. But now, what is this mantra made of? It is made of several words. If you talk about each of the word, Tat Savituhu Varenyam Bhargah Devasya Dhimahi. When you do like this, it becomes Padam. If you do it in twos, Tatsavituhu Saviturvarenyam Varenyam Bhargah. When you do like this, it is called as Kramam. Then Jatam is putting it, the word that we use in Tamil or maybe in the south of India is when the braiding of the hair is done. It is called as Jatam, right? That is, you do 1 2 2 1 1 2. So that way you wrap it around, and that is called as Jatam, right? Tatsavitus savitus tatsavituhu saviturvarenyam varenyagum savitus saviturvarenyam. This is the way we do the Jatam. The effect of it Now that I've pulled up to Jatam, the Ganapata will go like this. Tat savitus savitus tat tat saviturvarenyam varenyagum savitus tat tat saviturvarenyam. It is 1, 2, 2, 1. 1, 2, 3, 3, 2, 1, 1, 2, 3. This is called as Ganapata. Now, the reason why this is done like this is to ensure the words do not get replaced. There are sandhi rules which establishes that when a sandhi of two words happen, this is how they get locked. When I do the padam and particularly when I start doing the jatam and ganapatam, what happens is this interlocking of the word is established with no ambiguity for the next generations to follow. In Vishnu Sahasranama, we saw that the same thing, the same shloka is being chanted by others in other traditions in a different way. Those kind of fault lines will never be there in Veda because of that. That padam and kramam is communicated here for that. But we are talking about devotion, bhakti, right? That feeling in us. So, what is the relevance of this for our purposes? The relevance is the padam and kramam, when we are doing, it says that when you do the simple samhita, let us say you get one phalam, right? One mark of punya. If you do it as padam, you get two, right? And if you do it as ganapata, you will get 1,000. Having that, what do you say, shraddha, having that belief, do not go with the English word belief, please. Developing that shraddha that what has been told is not to be doubted and it is not proven. And so we are just going to accept what has been said. Putting the divinity into you in terms of the phala of what you do is the essence why we have this in the Dhyana Shloka here. Upanishad, we have spoken a lot about it. The final portion of Veda is called as Upanishad. Aham Brahmasmi, Tattvamasi, all these come in the Upanishad, where the Aikya of the Jivan and Ishvara is done. There are several ways that they are interpreted. Again, there are some schools which say it is the elevation to the feet of the Lord that they have via the bhakti. And there are other schools like Advaita, the one that we follow, as the one that merges you with the God. Aham Brahmasmi. Right. Whereas if you go to the other schools, they will say Aham Brahmasmi is an upasana for you to meditate as Aham Brahmasmi. Right. And there are several discussions around it. Right. Again, the intent is not to distinguish between Dvaita, Advaita, and Visishtaadwaita. As soon as it is objectified, all the three are the same. If they are not objectified and they elevate you into realizing yourself, then they are all the same. There is no word to it. And we use the term Advaita, and there will be others who use the term Dvaita or Visishtadvaita. But that is what we need to keep in mind. The Upanishads bring that particular thing. Gayantiyam Samagaha. The Samagaha represents the Samaveda, which is sung in a very elongated and very beautiful poetic way. I have had an opportunity or two to listen to, but even, what do you say, I have not had the, uh, I'm not submerged into Samagana, right? But I'm told that there are some places where it just is extremely divine. Just with the Samagana, you can be reaching the elevated state, is the way people speak about it. I don't have that experience myself, but that Samagana is being spoken about at this place. Dhyana avasthitah. While being in their meditative state, tad gatena, holding that as the ultimate objective. There are two aspects here. Meditative states. As soon as we speak about it, we talk about somebody sitting in a forest or under a tree, keeping their eyes closed, perhaps with a long beard and stuff like that. Do not remove those kind of images from your mind. Meditative state is the state in which you have the control in your mind when it is required, and now it is required. After some time, let the man be going the way that man goes, no problem. But being in the meditative state means when I need, the man is in my control. And when man is not in my control, I do not get driven by the manaha for wherever it goes. Right? I am the master. My man is my servant. And when I need my man, the man comes to serve me. Gaining that position is called as being in a meditative state. Again, this is in accordance with the tradition that we come from. There may be other traditions who speak differently, and we have to go back to talking about the Vedic quotes if they believe in Veda, or we have to go into the Tarka, where through Nyaya, through logic, we can discuss and come to a possible conclusion, or keep our exploration open till we experience the truth ourselves. So again, when we say Dhyana Avastitha, that is what we are talking about. Not necessarily a yogi, only with what you say in the meditation can see. But what is very important is Tad Gatena, holding that divinity as the ultimate objective or goal. Typically, we go to the prayers. We will talk about it in the 7th chapter with the purpose, with a need for something. Hey, give me this. Right? Give me a peace of mind. Give me peace of mind. Give me a car. Right? Give me a job. Right? We are seekers. The second one is we are saying that, hey, whatever you have given God, this is great. What a beautiful experience it has been. I'm very thankful to you. Right? Don't put me into trouble. That becomes a seeker again. But again, this is just being expressing the, what do you say, thankfulness in your heart. And there are, traditions which speak about that as an expectation that keep it this way. No problem. We can keep it that way too. Artha, artharthi. Right? The third one is mumukshu, where I develop the desire to know about God. The last one is the jnani. Bhagavan uses the term jigyashu in the 7th chapter. Right? In tradition, we use mumukshu, so I use the term mumukshu. When we say tadgatena manasa, there you are talking about mumukshu and jnani, not artha and artharthi. Having that ability to learn about God, to realize the God in you, is the exercise that we are doing. And it is not an easy exercise. It is a very difficult exercise. But as you go through, there are so many side benefits, right? Even for the Vyavaharika world, that it will enchant you. But this enchanting will happen only when you keep this tadgatena manasa, dhyana avastita manaha. This is the reason why the poet has quoted dhyana avastita tadgatena manasa. Now, when I am in that, what do I do? Pashyanti yam yoginaha. I am able to see. This see is again a challenging technical word because there is no other word to express. So the poet has used Pashyanti yam yoginaha. Right? Not that only the yogis can see or anything of that sort. Right? The seeing is not possible. What is possible is the self-realization. The self-realization without the objectification of the self is what is the reference that is given here. Pashyanti yam yoginah. The yoga comes with the word yuj. Yuj is uniting, right? So when you are united, what you see is what you feel or what you become or what you are, right? So that is the difference between Pashyanti, I am seeing, that yam yoginah, by the yogis. What has happened is we have objectified it. But when you apply the right way of looking at it, understand the limitation, you will be able to realize that I am realizing the I without objectification. And this happens because I have united myself, yuj, yogi, with the God. So that realization should be what the value we should look for in this shloka. Yasya antam na viduhu sura suraganaha. This is more poetic, so we can go quickly in this place and close the class today. Right? Yasyantam na vidu sura suraganaha. The suras, the devas and asuras, those who are in the lower order, atala, vitala, sutala, rasatala, talatala, that 7 lokas are Guhu, Guvaha, Suvaha, those 7 upper lokas. Those are sura, and those who are down are asuras. Right? Then for even they are unable to see the end. In other words, here, this concept, the Parabrahma, the Paramatma, has no beginning or end. That is the emphasis given here. And even the divine powers, if we are, who live in the upper lokas or the lower lokas, have been unable to see or experience this end of one. For to that Bhagavaha, to that Deva, I prostrate. Tasmai is to that particular God, to that particular concept, to that divinity, right? And I offer my namaskar. So with this, I think we have completed the Dhyana Shloka. And in our next class, we will go with a small introduction to Shankara's Bhashyam.